And welcome to our podcast and videocast, and it's brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union, serving their members' financial needs since 1951. Coach Beau Baldwin joins us now. Game week. Anticipation that a lot of guys and yourself and your staff have been waiting for what, 30 weeks or thereabouts since the end of the season in 2013. So is it maybe harder to try to rein guys in because they're ready for that first game and they're anticipating it so much?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there shouldn't be and there won't be any issues with getting guys up come Saturday. That's definitely the case. You just have to get them early in the week, just going through the process. We already had guys bouncing around. You want that, but you also, hey, there's a process with this week. There's a process to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday to Friday to even Saturday morning that leads us up to peaking at the right time, which is, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday.
Each team has a different personality depending on the leaders and so forth. What is this team's personality? Is it fiery, more feisty maybe than some of the teams you've had in the past? Are they more of a quiet intensity? What's this personality of this team?
I think extremely competitive. And that kind of has, kind of feisty with that, but in a good way. They still come together at the end of practice. They still come together and incredibly tight. It's almost like you see them as like those brothers that they're going to scrap like heck against each other. But if anyone else was going to mess with you, we're going to have his back. So there's that feistiness, but in a good way. That competitiveness that is it's been out there with all of our teams here. That's been a culture that's been here for, before I ever got here. But it's definitely, I've definitely noticed that. That's the one thing that jumps at me when we've gone through fall camp and gotten into, it doesn't matter what the drill is. They'll find a way to make it extremely, extremely competitive.
5 captains were elected by the team members last week. You've got on offense Corey Mitchell and Jace Budarak. On defense, Dylan Zylstra, Ronnie Hamlin, Tevin McDonald. Great honors for those young men, but they have all had to overcome some kind of adversity in their career, whether it's Budarak and Hamlin with injuries and Corey being a little bit older and he's had some injuries. And it's kind of interesting to see, who the team elected in those positions. Yeah, I think all very deserving and just, extremely happy for each one of those individuals. And I think what you hit on might have been some of the reason why guys voted for them, because they're all guys that have dealt, with some stuff without complaining about it, without, feeling like a victim in going through those moments, but grinding their way back to this point as a senior, with each one of them. So it was something that I think a part of what you talk about is exactly, I think, what the team saw too and what they respect. It's not necessarily the loudest guy. I mean, a guy like Corey isn't necessarily a loud, vocal leader, but he's out there, 100% in the summer with his, in the weight room or, doing the right things. A guy like Tevin coming back from last year, just with the attitude he has through rehab and getting himself to where he hasn't missed a practice, through fall camp. I mean, things like that are recognized by the guys, and it showed up. Going all the way back to Christmas, basically, and all the work that goes into making your team better in January and February and spring practice, and then what guys do in the summertime. Are you pleased to where your team is right now as you get ready for Game 1? I am. I'm very pleased. I think it's, we've done some new things, and I think you always have to try and stay ahead and try and stay on top of things. You want to do things that have worked and not try and change things, but you always have to tweak them, and you always have to improve, and you always want to shock yourself, and shock the system, with whatever you're doing. And I think we've had a good mix of that, staying with a certain recipe that we believe is successful and has proven to be successful, but all the while not being afraid, though, to adjust this or change this. Find things even in the great years or great years, however you want to look at it. Find things that you still feel like, yeah, but we're still a little bit average here in this area, or even below average here. So let's tweak that. Let's shock the system. Let's do this a little bit different in spring and summer. So I'm pleased with it, and I'm pleased how the guys have responded, from that, because it's easy for guys. Why are we doing this? We've been fine doing, but they're always all in. Let's do it then. Whatever it is, we're in it 100%. If that's going to maybe take us over another hump somewhere along the line, they're 100% on board. Do you tweak things based on personnel coming back maybe? We look like we're going to be, a little stronger with this and that, and maybe make some changes there?
You definitely do. You definitely do. When you're talking truly offense, defense, or special teams game plans, there are definitely tweaks. I mean, I think you have to. I mean, any great coach will tell you, yeah, you're going to have a system, but you got to adjust it to certain personnel that's, on your team. And so it's a fine line between, running what we do and being great at it, but also, fitting it to give those players the best chance for success, on any unit. But also, even also in terms of outside of the actual, on the field offense, defense, special teams, tweaking things you did in February or March in the weight room, tweaking things that the strength guys are doing over the summer with the guys that maybe get us to even a different level coming in. So it's a combination of both the on-the-field stuff that everyone sees, but also some of the off-the-field stuff that those guys spend even more hours than anything the public, really gets a chance to see.
How important is this game coming up for both teams, not only just in the wins and losses, but just in the perception in that you have, kids that you're recruiting are able to see this game on ESPN. It's not on, some other network. It's on the mothership. How important is that just for perception and so forth? And it's obviously important for you guys, but also for Sam Houston State. But is it more so because of the vehicle that is broadcasting the game?
Yeah, it is extremely important, and I don't want us to feel tight or pressure because of that. If anything, I want us to feel loose and excited because we have the opportunity, embrace the opportunity that we get to play a game like this on the mothership, on ESPN, with no other games go. I mean, just one thing to get a chance to play one. It's another thing to get a chance to play one on ESPN when no one else is playing. You can't flip the channels, to find other football. So, but the key is to embrace that and to be excited about that. And to be excited about, we have an opportunity to bolster that much more what we already expect to be a great recruiting class or some great things going forward, along with, obviously, both teams, us and Sam Houston, want to find a way to be 1-0 at the end of that, and to be 1-0 playing a very tough non-conference game, it's a big deal too going forward with the rest of the season, and if it ever comes down to at-large situations, those games come up. I know, or at least I believe, that Sam Houston's win versus us was a big, big boost for them in terms of playoffs last year. So there's a lot of things that go into a game one like this with everything that surrounds it.
Does revenge enter the equation at all because they've had your number the last 2 years, or were those the last 2 years and this is a new year? I
mean, I don't use really the word revenge, and I never say that to the guys, but there's a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, in terms of, and credit to them, no excuses, no, nothing, you can say except for they got us. And I can go back to 2004, and as a coach feel, they've gotten us 3 times. But for these guys in this program, the older guys, they've experienced tough losses, the last 2 times we've played them. So I guess it's more of just a bad taste and a hunger to get over that hump and to beat a team that's had your number, 2 years in a row. That's big. It's probably how the Spurs felt this year. Different teams have felt when they lose ball games against an opponent, and coming back the next year. It's not necessarily like revenge, but they have that taste in their mouth, to want another crack at them, another shot.
We've talked about Sam Houston, maybe not knowing exactly what they're going to do because they've had a lot of personnel changeover, a coaching staff changeover. But one thing you do know is they have a lot of speed. They do. And they always, I say the word always, but most likely they will always, have, great speed. I mean, you're playing in Texas. It's just the makeup of their team. It's the makeup of that area and that type of football. So it's great football and it's fast football. It is. When you watch their game tape and you see not just them but the opponents that they're playing against. So we know that. There's no doubt about it. But we feel like that's one of the strengths of our team too. So I don't necessarily worry about that. I'm excited to see a fast football game, and be a part of a fast football game with 2 great football teams. And we're just going to have to be ready, less concerned with necessarily the speed, because we saw great speed last year, game 1, when we were facing Cooks and, Oregon State and that situation. We just have to be more prepared for coming to the sideline and making early adjustments. But, realistically, they will too.
we're still a new team. They can watch all the film, but we still have some new players. Any tweaks we've done, certain things, both teams are going to still have to be making early adjustments, and that's going to be, I think, a huge key to this game.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Saturday, 12:35 is the game time here at Roos Field, sold out. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. Coach, we'll do it every week. Thanks for the time. Good luck.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you, Larry.
And that's our podcast and video cast here, brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union.